Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. My name is Tobias Schroeder and I'm Content Marketing Manager here at SoftExpert. Today's webinar will be presented by Mr. Gus Oliveira, who is an International Product and Market Manager at SoftExpert and has over 10 years experience in the financial and business development field, working in large companies both in the United States and in Brazil as a financial analyst, business strategy consultant, and a project consultant. Gus has a degree in business administration as well as a degree in economics from the University of Massachusetts.
The business context in which corporate environmental professionals must work in is rapidly changing. Competitive pressures in the global economy are pushing companies to ensure that all endeavors contribute to the creation and protection of shareholder value. Corporate environmental professionals need to rethink their roles, responsibilities, and approaches in order to respond to these larger business trends. Companies are reorienting traditional business strategies to focus on cross-functional business processes and are taking advantage of opportunities to coordinate the work of different operating units and departments. Corporations are encouraging all business functions, not just sales and marketing, to adopt a customer-focused approach to delivering products and services. Increasingly, investors and consumers are holding corporations accountable for their impact on the environment and society, in addition to financial performance, forcing companies to anticipate and rapidly respond to social and environmental issues. In this shifting business context, the role of the environmental professional is evolving. Environmental staff must get plugged into business undertaking activities that create value for the business and communicating this value to multiple internal and external stakeholders. Increasingly, corporate environmental professionals are discovering that the value of their service expands as the scope of their activities extends beyond remediation and compliance activities. By focusing on resource management or eco-efficiency, environmental activities can produce operational and strategic value by reducing costs and enhancing revenues. Less resources, less waste, less risk, more sales, and more revenues. Environmental activities can reduce operating costs by improving resource utilization rates and process efficiency, reducing waste, and using risk management to avoid fines and cleanup costs, reduce legal costs and judgments, and decrease insurance and overhead costs. An environmental program, which is well integrated into core business processes, can also influence profitability in more subtle and sometimes less tangible ways by streamlining product development cycles and reducing time to market, improving relationships with regulators, suppliers, and consumers, safeguarding corporate image and brand names, enhancing employee productivity and morale, and identifying new product and service opportunities. Companies are only beginning to discover the ways in which corporate environmental initiatives can add strategic value to their business. In this webinar, we're going to explore tools and techniques that corporate environmental professionals can use to plan, create, measure, and communicate the business values of environmental activities. We believe that these ideas will be of interest to a much broader audience. In particular, business leaders and members of the financial community will find compelling examples of ways corporate environmental activities can contribute to profitability and competitiveness. In addition, the concepts addressed in this primer are directly relevant to corporate health and safety activities. This webinar is divided into 4 chapters, one for each stage of the Plan, Do, Check, Act, or the PDCA cycle of environmental management. Total Quality Environmental Management, ISO 14001, and other environmental management system approaches are all funded in this iterative process focused on continuous learning and improvement, making the PDCA lifecycle a useful framework for presenting the concepts and tools. The corporate environmental professional faces the same challenge confronting other business leaders in a changing world: how to allocate and secure limited resources, money, staff, senior management attention, to maximize the value of activities and projects. When done well, Planning can enable corporate environmental managers to identify, assess, and prioritize opportunities in the organization and devise creative strategies for leveraging resources, not just the environmental department's resources, but those of other departments as well. This chapter describes the essential elements of a successful planning effort and presents tools and tips for maximizing the benefits of planning. The key to good planning is to transform it from academic exercise that results in just another report on the shelf to a vibrant process of getting plugged into the business. Planning requires environmental professionals to step out into the business, gain an understanding of broader organization, listen to other departments' needs and goals, and also identify strategic opportunities for solving companies' challenge. Company challenges. It involves reaching beyond traditional role boundaries to become strategists, entrepreneurs, sales representatives, and educators. In this way, effective planning can both reveal value-creating opportunities and provide critical insight into how best to communicate with key individuals and groups. There are 4 main elements to successful planning: knowing your business, taking inventory of potential environmental impacts, identifying value-creating opportunities, and prioritizing activities. Know your business. Assesses the business context of environmental activities. All too often, corporate environmental professionals are unaware of the specific goals, priorities, and needs of other departments and staff within the company. Being able to offer value-adding solutions requires 3 things. First, identify the current and potential customers of environmental services. Second, know what business challenges those customers are trying to solve. And third, understand your company's long-range business plans. While environmental professionals cannot be expected to be experts in every aspect of the company, failing to do homework on business context may leave a giant value-creating opportunities on the table and environmental issues on the sidelines. Inventory potential environmental impacts. Make sure that you know all the ways your company impacts the environment. Environmental impacts typically arise from the use of input resources, the generation of waste, emissions, and discharges, and the existence, use, or disposal of products. This task is akin to the identification of environmental aspects in the ISO 14001 Environmental Management System Standard. To conduct an inventory of the environmental impacts, first identify the core business process and functions in your organization, including the production and operational processes. Then, map the process that you identify. Process mapping not only improves understanding of business activities, but also helps to reveal areas where these activities can impact the environment and where environmental staff can intervene to provide value-adding assistance. For each process and/or functional areas, brainstorm the current and potential environmental impacts. Identify value-creating opportunities. Once environmental staff are plugged into the business, they can get the information needed to identify value-creating opportunities at many levels of the company's operations. Smart compliance strategies have additional benefits for other departments and business units. Environmental initiatives take beyond the basic requirements of compliance may both reduce costs and enhance revenues. Search for the places where value can be created. Prioritize activities. No corporate environmental professional has the time, staff resources, or funds to pursue all potentially value-creating opportunities in the organization. To make effective use of limited resources, environmental managers must focus their efforts and prioritize environmental activities. Decision-making criteria typically include the importance of project to business goals, the project scale in terms of cost and resources required, and the degree of difficulty, for example, complexity of the problem, the amount of potential capital required. This does not mean that only the easiest and cheapest projects should be done first. Rather, this process should result in a plan that balances potential benefits with political and economic resources needed. Do what adds value. The value of environmental activities can be realized through effective implementation of projects, programs, or systems. Yet, in doing what adds value, there are several challenges to overcome. 1. Getting upper management approval and support, mobilizing the necessary resources, and building momentum once the project has been kicked off. Build the business case. It seems that every article on environmental management instructs environmental staff to secure senior management commitment and support for environmental programs. Yet, getting that support is not always easy, nor is it always necessary. Most often, the need for senior management approval is driven by a need to secure financial and staff resources. If you can leverage existing support and resources to get things done, you may not need special approval from senior management at the outset. Where this is possible, management support can be nurtured over time. Senior business managements have limited time and attention to divide among multiple competing issues. When approval is needed prior to introducing a new program or project, you need to target your pitch and presentation specifically to your management audience. Upper management is often most interested in the financial implications of a proposal, so be prepared to provide an estimate of the project's costs and benefits to the business. While providing financial data may seem intimidating early in the process, it is important not to get stuck in extensive research and analysis. Make credible guesstimates of the costs and benefits using terms that are meaningful to senior managers. Getting approval should not be a test of your financial skills, but rather an opportunity for you to present your case for your program to a key customer. Mobilize resources. Many corporate environmental professionals vastly underestimate the availability of resources to support environmental activities within their corporations. They assume that available resources consist only of departmental budget and staff who have been specifically assigned environmental job responsibilities. Successful implementation often demands that environmental managers identify potential allies with similar or overlapping interest in use or piggyback on other organizational resources. There are a myriad of creative examples of environmental professionals mobilizing resources. For example, when environmental managers have integrated environmental criteria into new product development checklists and evaluation, R&D staff take greater responsibility for identifying potential environmental hazards of new products or services. Such efforts can reduce the environmental impacts of design choices, decrease time to market by ensuring permits and controls are in place, and shape perceptions of the environmental departments as valuable providers of technical assistance. Corporate audit programs can also offer opportunities to mobilize and leverage scarce resources. By promoting facility self-assessments, several corporate environmental departments have shifted their focus to providing training and technical assistance. Cross-training of quality audit staff has leveraged staff from other departments to supplement corporate audit teams. These approaches allow the environmental department to share responsibility for compliance assurance with facilities while encouraging facility members to pursue their own value-creating environmental activities. Build momentum. Many well-designed programs fail when they do not receive adequate or sustained attention from key staff. Start with a bang, but be prepared to back the project or program launch with continued efforts. Plan and sequence implementation tasks so that they display frequent, visible, and concrete actions. Once the initial fanfare has worn off, it is critical to keep the initiative moving. If the project or program is allowed to languish or lose momentum, it may be difficult to sustain enthusiasm and effort among all participants. Check the value added. Measuring the value of environmental initiatives stands as one of the most important and most challenging tasks facing environmental professionals. The appropriate choice of tools and approaches depend on what questions are being asked. Are you measuring the value of an individual project, the value of the environmental function, or the value of all environmental related activities in the company? Are you estimating the value that could be created from a planned project, or checking to verify that the value has been created from an existing project? Who is the intended audience for the measurement information? Value measurement can be used to verify the outcomes of environmental activities, providing both critical feedback for future program improvements and communicable results to sustain support from key stakeholders. Several of the project evaluation tools presented in this chapter are also useful when planning and prioritizing environmental activities. During the planning phase, estimates are also used to evaluate likely costs and benefits of going forward, whereas during the following implementation, actual figures are used to assess impacts that the initiative has produced. Financial tools such as return on investment, or ROI, net present value, and economic value added, or EVA, can be used with estimated cash flows to help environmental managers prioritize, select, and gain approval for value-enhancing environmental projects. These tools can then later be used to analyze the project impact, quantify actual costs and benefits. In recent years, environmental cost accounting and activity-based accounting have generated significant interest among environmental managers as they move to gain a better understanding of the bottom line implications of the environmental issues and activities. What is new for many environmental managers is tracking non-traditional costs and benefits and translating these into universal language of value, or dollars. Successful measurement strategies avoid paralysis by analysis. By tailoring the precision of the value measurement effort to the importance of the task and demands of the audiences, environmental managers can ensure that checking supports environmental activities rather than replaces them. Remember the 80-20 rule. 80% of the intended result can often be achieved through 20% of the effort. Striving for perfection typically requires the additional 80% of the effort. Advance and communicate value. Once measurement and analysis have clearly demonstrated the value of environmental activities, the corporate environmental professional needs to communicate this value to a broader group of stakeholders, both internal and external to the corporation. Certainly, communication skills are critical in all steps of the plan, do, and check cycle, but the advanced phase often requires the environmental professional to go public with environmental success stories to communicate challenges and request help. Communication provides a means to build momentum and support for environmental activities, enlist partners in other departments and business units, and receive feedback on the initiatives put forth and the methods used to support continuous improvements. There are many stakeholder groups with whom the environmental manager must communicate effectively: upper management, decision makers, many departments and operational functions within the company, and external interests such as customers, suppliers, and investors. Each of these groups may require their own communication strategies. While the task of communicating effectively with so many audiences may seem daunting, the environmental professional stands in a unique position to create partnerships across departments and functions. These partnerships create value added by generating solutions to businesses and environmental problems that can open up lines of communications for the future. Strategies for effective communication. Corporate environmental professionals should consider the following general techniques in reaching out to internal and external stakeholder groups. Target your message to your audience. When it comes to communication, there is never one size fits all. By understanding the interest and motivation of the stakeholders, you can target your message in a way that compels their attention and action. Emphasize directed dialogue with your partners instead of broadcasting information. For example, company-wide emails. Leverage existing opportunities to communicate. Even in the most supportive corporate environments, you cannot expect upper management or operations staff to have time to meet with you on a regular basis. When possible, utilize existing organizational forums, for example, safety meetings or quality teams, to communicate environmental messages instead of setting up special meetings and conferences focused on EHS. Use a variety of communication methods. Individuals learn in different ways through graphics, written materials, and interactive discussions. Since you cannot possibly know the learning styles of everyone you need to reach, vary your methods of communication. Ask key individuals how they would prefer to receive information, emails, phone calls, newsletters, presentations, or meetings, and how often. Get feedback on your communication strategy. As you solicit input on environmental programs and projects, gather feedback on your communication strategies and how they could be improved. Is your intended audience receiving and understanding the message? Are they getting bombarded with information? Most companies have professional communicators, public relations, stockholder relations, marketing, who are often happy to help. Use them for advice. Communicating value to upper management. Upper management, such as CEO, the CFO, the board of directors, and various vice presidents and brand managers, are key decision makers who support environmental department and control resources. When communicating to upper management, it is particularly important to do your homework. Your core audience in upper management may be only 5 to 10 individuals, and they will expect you to be direct and to the point when you meet with them or write reports for them. Failure to clearly and credibly articulate the value of environmental activities can jeopardize management's commitment to your efforts. When communicating with upper management, resist the temptation to walk them through your logic and through processes or the litany of challenges you face. Provide them with the information needed to make an educated decision. This does not mean that all your data needs to be perfect. Top management can accept ballpark figures, providing that they are credible. Be sensitive to the context in which they are working, challenges they are facing, important initiatives they are involved with, changes in leadership, and critical deadlines, for example, annual meetings and budgets. Target the message. Know where you stand. Does your senior management believe that the environmental function adds value to your business, or are you perceived as the Department of Production Prevention? Tailor your message according to where you fall on the spectrum of perceived value. If you lack upper management support, keep a low profile and go to the executives only when their approval is required. As you achieve results and earn the support of management, adjust your message. Build a series of success stories and actively engage senior management in communicating the value of those efforts through the organization and to external stakeholders. Help solve problems. Put environmental initiatives in terms of other problems management are trying to solve. For instance, relating your waste reduction program to process optimization might get you better results in an organization focused on process improvements. Similarly, you might present the impact of your accelerated regulatory permitting program as one aspect of a time-to-market initiative. Speak dollars. Senior executives understand the language of accounting and finance, and you should communicate using their terms. This means presented in dollars, not kilowatt hours or tons of waste. The 5-minute version. Know what you want and be able to clearly state your needs. Assume your hour-long presentation to CEO will be cut to 5 minutes. Show pictures. Senior managers often do not have time to visit facility and witness the front line of operation activities. Showing pictures or slides of good environmental practices at a site can make the abstract value of an environmental program tangible to executives. One department found that by taking pictures of poor environmental conditions in overseas facilities, they were able to garner support to improve environmental policies and standards worldwide. Leverage existing opportunities. Some information is requested by upper management on a regular basis through budget requests, quarterly and annual reports, business plans, and presentations to the board. Take advantage of these opportunities to communicate key messages regarding the value of environmental activities to the business. Often, one key idea, packaged well within the standard presentation, can catch top management attention. Know and use your allies. As one environmental manager quipped, "It's not who you know, but what you know about who you know." Know who is supportive of your efforts and who needs to be convinced. Provide your allies in upper management with messages to convey, whether in meetings or passing the hallway to their colleagues. The environmental department in one company was able to develop a relationship with external affairs departments by sharing a floor of the office building. The external affairs department had the ear of senior management and was able to assist environmental managers in communicating with senior management. Plug into a strategic planning process. Strategic plans go through the office of the CEO for approval, making them an effective tool for communicating environmental objectives and opportunities. By incorporating environmental goals into the corporate strategic plan, the environmental manager can align environmental goals with those of the business units and foster a dialogue with other departments and functional areas. Publicize your publicity. Make certain that senior executives are notified of any awards the company receives for environmental programs. Ask them to accept an award on your behalf, or ask the awarding organization to notify and congratulate the CEO. For example, one environmental department, upon receiving an award from the National Association of Environmental Management, asked them to send a letter to their CEO praising the achievement. The external recognition bolstered the executive's interest in and support for the environmental department. Benchmark against other companies. Make senior executives aware of environmental strategies and business values created by other companies. Use benchmarking to show the areas where you are leading the industry or where you fall short. One EHS department developed an environmental software program which other companies wanted to model. The environmental manager was pleased to share information, but asked for a letter from the other CEO to her CEO, which started, "Our company is committed to improvements in environment, health, and safety, and your company has an excellent tool which will help us achieve our goals. Would you entertain us visiting your company so that we could learn the most about this tool?" This made the CEO aware that someone external to the organization value-added work of the environmental department. Use spoken word. Have executives kick off meetings expressing the importance of the initiative and its value to the company. This strategy ensures operations of top management's commitment to the project and makes certain that the executives is fully educated regarding the program and its benefits. Communication value to operations. Operating departments and facilities are the customers of environmental services, and the departments needed to effectively integrate environmental activities into business processes. Operations is where change happens, and the real opportunity to deliver value to the business lies. Seemingly small changes in work processes can have a dramatic impact on environmental performance and generate significant value to the business. Target the message. Recognize that operations staff often will be responsible for implementing much of these environmental programs, and this work may represent an additional burden, for example, waste segregation. Communicate the value of environmental programs in terms of solving operations problems. For example, emphasize those environmental activities which have led to process efficiency gains, improved resource utilization, reduced waste costs and burden, and/or higher products. Acknowledge the added effort that may be required. Move toward a service-oriented approach. View environmental programs and projects as services to the business. Prepare a list of the services you provide each business unit and share the list. You can even create a matrix to show which programs benefit which departments. This way, you are not defending what you do, but you are selling and engaging in dialogue with your customers. Convey upper management support. To partner with you, operations will want to know that the project has support of upper management. If you have upper management commitment, leverage it. Speak in operations language. Each department and functional area may have its own jargon. You should be able to roughly translate your message into these languages. Challenge yourself to learn the new languages rather than expecting others to understand EHS jargon. Recognize success. If you rely on partners in the business units to assist with environmental activities, you must give them recognition when environmental objectives are met. They deserve a pat on the back to feel good about their work and to continue their efforts. Recognition and rewards spur innovation and generate additional value for the organization. To celebrate the environmental success stories in operations, one company hired a freelance journalist who interviewed the heads of the business units and wrote an article on each business unit's accomplishment. Leverage existing opportunities. You will seldom have the opportunity to get operation managers' undivided attention. Be sure to leverage existing forums. If you cannot pull staff away from production activities for meetings, integrate your communication efforts into their normal work context. Get your issues on their agendas. Each business unit has meetings and business processes in which environmental activities can often be integrated. For example, environmental items can be included in the agenda of weekly safety meetings. Environmental questions can be added to the marketing surveys and product development checklists. Get their issues on your agenda. Invite managers from other departments and business units to serve on the Environmental Council or to speak at the environmental meetings. One company established a scholarship program for site personnel to attend the annual environmental meetings. The applicants had to write a short essay on why they wanted to attend, and the environmental department paid travel expenses. Establish green teams. Several companies have involved non-EHS staff in environmental issues by setting up green teams. These teams, which are made up of volunteers from all job levels and departments, can be a valuable resource for communicating environmental messages, as well as for generating ideas on how to integrate environmental activities into business processes. Co-op required training courses. Many successful environmental managers have been able to work with human resources to include environmental elements into ongoing non-EHS training activities. EHS training, which is required by law, can also be adapted to include more general decisions on environment's value to the business and instructions on how to get involved with proactive environmental programs in the business units. Use mass marketing. Companies have devised a variety of channels to reach out to all employees in the organization. To introduce new employees to environmental initiatives and commitments, environmental departments have produced short videos that are shown during new employee orientation. Successful environmental managers have also published environmental newsletters and bulletins and included leaflets into paycheck envelopes. Communication value to external stakeholders. The environmental manager must communicate the business value of environmental function to several external stakeholder groups. including customers, suppliers, and shareholders. These are diverse groups with varying motivations and interests. As with operations and upper management, know where you stand and adjust your strategy according to the needs and expectations of your audience. Customers. Customers buy products and services based on price, quality, the image of the brand, and in some cases, the perception that the business is a good corporate citizen. To effectively communicate the value of your environmental programs to your customer, utilize existing departments and resources that are available in the organization to support consumer relations. Partner with public affairs. Develop alliances with your company's public affairs and marketing departments. These departments are often looking for information on company performance and products that can be communicated inside and outside of the company. Creating environment-focused employee volunteer programs can both improve community relations and educate volunteers about the value of environmental activities. Public affairs and investor relations departments can assist environmental professionals in developing case studies and articles which recognize environmental programs and achievements. Inform customer service. Provide customer service representatives with reference materials to answer environmental-related questions from customers when they call or write the organization. Make your website a big hit. Use your company's website to communicate your environmental goals and success stories. Successful websites are graphically interesting, informative, include specific examples, not just vague policy statements, and are updated regularly. Suppliers. Increasingly, external shareholders are concerned not only with your company's environmental performance, but the performance of companies who supply the raw materials and components for your products and services. Implementing an aggressive environmental supplier program can reduce your company's risks and liabilities and improve the life cycle environmental performance of your products and services. One consumer product company found that by convening regular supplier meetings, they could set group environmental goals and share best practices on how to achieve them. As suppliers improve their environmental records and decrease liabilities, the cost of inputs may also decrease, creating value for your company. To harvest these potential benefits, you will have to work with the purchasing department to engage suppliers in your programs and commitments. Members of the financial community, including stock analysts, portfolio managers, investors, insurers, and lenders, evaluate the performance, profitability, and growth of publicly traded companies to maximize investment returns. Typically, these groups are concerned with corporate environmental performance in cases where there is a significant negative impact on the company's earnings per share, such as through the contaminated site remediation, litigation, or non-compliance penalties. More proactive environmental activities, such as pollution prevention, eco-efficiency, and energy efficiency, currently receive limited attention in company valuations. However, according to a survey of financial analysts, the influence of environmental performance on corporate financial analysis is likely to grow in the upcoming decade. Whether environment becomes a significant factor in company analysis depends largely on whether companies can demonstrate the importance of environmental activities to the future performance, profitability, and growth. Numbers alone, however, do not always tell the story. While financial analysts depend on quantitative factors, for example, earnings, costs, return on equity, to assess future growth and profitability, qualitative factors also weigh heavily on financial decisions. Corporate reputation, business strategy, quality of management, and brand loyalty sway many decisions in the financial community. Proactive activities coupled with documented results, case studies, and examples can provide excellent stories, evidence that these larger qualitative factors are core and practice part of the company's fundamentals. For many financial analysts, the salient fact is not that the company saved $50 million through a pollution prevention program. Rather, the value is that the company has a program that will reduce future pollutions and waste treatment costs, continuously seek improvements in processes and efficiencies, and safeguard against future risks and liabilities. Even though environmental professionals rarely have an occasion to communicate directly with members of the financial community, they can affect the availability and credibility of environmental stories. Provide executives with your story. CFOs and other executives responsible for investor relations infrequently discuss the business rationale for an impact of corporate environmental activities with stock analysts, portfolio managers, and shareholders. Environmental professionals can provide executives with information they need to present a consistent and credible story regarding environmental initiatives. All senior managers, whether in finance, legal, operations, marketing, or R&D, should be versed in how the company's environmental strategy and initiatives reduce risk and create a competitive advantage. Avoid greenwash. Environmental claims must be credible, or your message and reputation will be discounted. Prepare executives for shareholder meetings. For shareholder meetings, provide the CEO and the CFO with talking points on environmental objectives, initiatives, and performance. Even if the executives choose not to proactively address environmental issues at shareholder meetings, they will be prepared to address any questions or shareholders' initiatives. For example, at one company's annual shareholder meetings, an initiative based on the series principles was put to a vote. Although the initiative was defeated, the CEO took the opportunity to reinforce the company's environmental commitment. Environmental professionals can further influence investor relations by publishing annual environmental reports, including environmental information in corporate annual reports, or by supplying investor relations or external affairs department staff with environmental talking points. Leverage information disclosure. Through the internet, information on corporate environmental performance is available to the public, allowing unprecedented access and analysis. Government agencies, such as the U.S.'s EPA, have taken significant steps to disclose corporate environmental data electronically. Numerous environmental organizations have launched web-based ratings for corporate environmental performance. Several non-governmental organizations evaluate corporate environmental performance specifically for use by investors and financial analysts. By monitoring these resources, an environmental manager can be better prepared to correct errors in disclosures, use disclosures to win support or leverage action within a company, and provide sources with better data about the outcomes and values of environmental initiatives. Get involved in the debate. Many financial and corporate managers perceive environment as a non-financial issue. While several initiatives have recently been launched to highlight and explore ways in which environmental activities add value to businesses, discussion of the links between environmental and financial performance are only beginning. Conferences and studies supported by GEMI, the Aspen Institute, the EPA Green Markets Committee, among others, are beginning to focus their attention on these issues. By engaging in such initiatives, environmental professionals can broaden the debate, write articles and op-eds for magazines, newspapers, and journals that reach the financial community. Speak to students at a local business school regarding the links between corporate environmental performance and financial performance. Plug back into the business. At the core of advancing the topic of this webinar, and more importantly, environmental activities within the organization, is communication. What communication does for us is plug us into the business, creating partners within and external to our organizations who understand our business needs, our stakeholders' needs, and how to help us address those needs. Changing business realities are shifting the focus of environmental departments from managing consequences to managing resources. Focusing on the business value of environmental management systems has become a high priority for environmental professionals. But how much do environmental activities actually contribute to the bottom line? Historically, most executives believed that environmental activities had little bearing on corporate financial performance, except in higher risk industries. There are signs, however, that attitudes are shifting. Executives from leader companies are increasingly speaking out about the operational and strategic value of environmental activities. As Vernon R. Locks Jr., Chairman and CEO of Baxter International, states, "At Baxter, we found that corporate environmental programs, as well as those in the health and safety area, produce important financial benefits. Our experience makes a powerful bottom-line argument for EHS responsible corporate behavior that should appeal even to companies that haven't yet made EHS issues a priority." For example, Baxter's environmental initiatives over the past 7 years yielded more than $100 million in savings. While many companies have documented the direct benefits of corporate environmental activities, the question remains, do these benefits ultimately result in improved profits and higher stock prices? The link to reduced operating costs has been demonstrated many times. However, there have been limited analysis to evaluate the link between corporate environmental performance and improvements in firm sales, earnings, competitive positions, investment risk profile, or market value. A few recent studies suggest a positive correlation between environmental performance and financial performance. In a survey of 300 of the largest public companies, an ICF Kaiser study found that those firms that improved their environmental management systems and environmental outcomes experienced an increase in their stock price by as much as 5%. Another study found that a diversified portfolio of eco-efficient companies can be expected, on average, to outperform less efficient competitors between 240 and 290 basis points per annum. Environmental performance can contribute to corporate profits in the following areas: compliance, operations, risk management, marketing, capital investment, strategic direction. The primary ways that corporate environmental activities impact stock prices are by reducing the risks of the firm and enhancing brand value. Risk is a critical factor for investors making investment decisions. Some financial professionals also believe that proactive environmental management provides a leading indicator of good general management practices within a company. Firms that systematically seek to optimize resource efficiency and minimize wastes often integrate environmental activities into core business processes and focus on continuous improvement, factors essential to long-term innovation and value creation. Despite increased recognition of environmental contributions to financial performance, according to a recent United Nations Development Program study, there remains a green wall on Wall Street. Many stock analysts still do not consider environmental performance an important factor in determining the value of a corporation. This may be due to the fact that analysts rely on information from annual reports and corporate officers, which rarely reveal much about environmental initiatives. At the same time, corporate CEOs and CFOs believe they are effectively communicating their commitment to the environment and their environmental success stories. One reason for this disconnect may be that most corporate environmental communication is directed towards stakeholders, such as environmental groups, plant communities, regulators, and customers, and are not written in a language that analysts find useful or even understand. The continuing debate among corporate executives and Wall Street analysts emphasized the need for environmental managers to measure the contributions of environmental activities to the bottom line of the companies and to effectively communicate the connection. The role of the corporate environmental professional is changing from that technical specialist to a cross-functional consultant, process optimizer, and business problem solver. By integrating the ideas and tips contained in this webinar into corporate environmental management system, environmental managers can better realize and communicate the environment's value to the business. On behalf of SoftExpert, I'd like to thank everyone for taking part in this webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to go to our website at www.softexpert.com.
Thank you, Gus, and thanks to all of you who took part in this presentation. If you have any questions or would like to get in touch with Gus, please email him at gustavo.oliveira@softexpert.com. For more webinars, please visit our website www.softexpert.com. See you next time. Bye-bye.